Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I hope you're all doing well, and today we are back with the kind of second part to my TBR series. I don't even think that I classed it as a series in the first video, but it's kind of like I did the physical TBR and now I'm doing my ebook TBR. So let's just get on with it. Today we're here, like I said, with my ebook TBR. I did my physical TBR quite a while ago and it went down quite well, so I thought it was time to do the reverse and do my ebook TBR. I have like 114 books on my iBooks account, but a lot of those I do not want to read anymore, so I'm not classing them as part of my TBR because I got them for free when they're on iBooks, like 2014, way back when I didn't know my reading taste, when I was new to reading, etc, etc. So I have just gone through those 114 books and 35 survived. I was going through kind of really choosing what books I wanted to still read, etc, etc. So I'm just going to talk through those 35 with you today. Because there are so many, I'm not going to give synopsises on all of them. Most of them you will know anyway because they are booktube favourites. So yeah, let's just, without further ado, let's just get in with the first one. And the first one is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I do have my iBooks account here for you, but I'll put covers up on the screen. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, a very, very popular booktube book. So when it was going for like 99p in like a romance iBook sale, I had to pick it up. I still have yet to read it. And then we have You Drive Me Crazy by Amy Prelomi? No idea. Tagline for the book says, "What girl doesn't dream of amazing promotion working on the other side of the world?" And then underneath the title on iBooks, this line here says, "A feisty tale of enemies to lovers." And I'm not a massive fan of enemies to lovers, but I think the synopsis drew me in enough to download it when it was on offer. Just as like a pre-warn here, I don't tend to spend about more than $2.99, $3.99 max on ebooks because I don't see the point in spending the same amount on an ebook than I would usually like a physical book, so $7.99, $8.99, or a hardback, which is usually like $12.99 in the UK. So I only tend to buy ebooks when they're in the sales. So this one was clearly in the sale and I've had it on my TBR for quite a while, but yeah, it still interests me. Once in a lifetime opportunity is presented to a 28-year-old investment banker Madison and instantly fills her with abject fear. It isn't a New York transfer she set her heart on, she's going to South Korea instead. To make things worse, her boss Mark Kim doesn't go out of his way to make it easy for her to adapt to her new environment. Plunged into a world she knows nothing about with a man she can't stand, Madison finds herself forced to adapt and grow up quickly. Maybe in the process she'll stumble over something wonderful and quite unexpected. Enemies to lovers, what more could you want? And as well as a bit of travel thrown in there as well. A little sprinkle. We next have one of my favourite authors, Paige Toon. One of her more recent book releases went on sale on iBooks, so I picked it up. And that is If You Could Go Anywhere. I don't really know what it's about. Paige Toon tends to be an author by author for me. If You Could Go Anywhere by Paige Toon kind of follows Angie. Angie has always wanted to travel, but at 27 rather than 28, she has barely stepped outside her small mining town where she was born. Instead, she discovers the world through stories told to her by passing travellers, dreaming that one day she'll see it all for herself. When her grandmother passes away, leaving Angie with no remaining family, she is ready to start on her own adventures, and then she finds a letter revealing the address of a father she never knew, and realises instantly where her journey must begin. Italy. Angie sets out to find the truth about her family, her past, and who she really is. Will mysterious and reckless Italian Alessandro help guide the way? What more could you want in like a travel romance book? I love Paige Toon. I think she writes some really, really good rom-com kind of contemporary reads. So excited to get to this one. Just, I keep forgetting. That's the issue with ebooks, is I forget that they exist and I just kind of gravitate when I want to read a new book. I gravitate to my shelves rather than checking, oh, I'll check my phone and see what books I have on my iBooks account. So I really need to get better at checking my iBooks account for when I want to read books. We next have on my ebook TBR, have The Woman at Number 24 by Julia Ashton. Oh, it sounds like Aston. This one basically follows our main character Sarah, and when her marriage kind of breaks up, the last place you expect your ex-husband to live is the flat downstairs from you. And I think this kind of follows Sarah, who's just broken up with her husband, and her husband has moved downstairs into one of those flats. I think you also follow him, and then you follow a new couple that's just moved in, and you also follow an elderly woman who also lives in the flat as well. And I think it's just about like living all together kind of, and friendships and family and that sort of thing. So I'm excited for this one. I probably won't get to it too soon, but yeah, it's on my ebook TBR and I'm still interested in reading it. We then have Shipped by Angie Hockman, which I have been meaning to read for quite a while now. It's one of the newer books on my TBR, on my iBooks account, because I heard Caroline from Caroline Johnson talk about it. I love her channel. She has some great contemporary romance, thriller, horror, a whole mix of things, recommendations, and she is incredible, so go check out her channel. I'll leave it up above and down below for you guys. But this is where I heard about this book, and it sounds so good. It's another enemies to lovers about two main characters, and they both work for a cruise company. One of these cruises that they're selling is kind of failing, so they're tasked to go on the cruise together, experience it, so they can then obviously come back to work and sell it from first-hand experience. But they don't like each other at first, but they're stuck on the same boat. They hate each other, and then I think they have to fall in love. And because it's like a ship on the cover, obviously I'll put it up here for you, it just looks like such a perfect summary read. I would love to get to it in the next couple of months before summer kind of ends. Then have My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, which is a book that I really want to get to, but obviously, as you know, as everyone knows, is a booktube favourite. It's very hard-hitting, and it talks about trigger warnings, just to let you know, of sexual assault and rape. And yeah, I don't think I'm mentally prepared for that yet, but I do, and I'm still very, very intrigued to read it. Hopefully one day. I did get it as an ebook because I don't know whether I want to own a physical copy until I know that I did actually enjoy it and would like a physical copy of it. Yeah, I got it as an ebook just as like a safety net. We then have The Shelf by Helly Acton, and as far as I'm aware, this one follows 6 main females who go into a house. I think it's kind of like Big Brother-esque, and it just sounds like a whole lot of fun. Harry and Giovanna Fletcher both got arcs of this, and that's how I kind of found out about it, and they both really, really enjoyed it. And you know me, I love some Fletcher family, and I love G. She's one of my favourite authors, one of my favourite people, and so when she read the arc and enjoyed it, this was going straight onto my TBR. We then have The Roommate by Rosie Dannon, and I have heard nothing but amazing things about this book. Steph from Steph Loves has recently read the sequel, I think, to this book and really, really enjoyed it. I think she also rated The Roommate 5 stars. So because I'd heard about it, I couldn't resist it and I picked it up. I don't really know what it's about, but it's going to be a cute adult romance, isn't it? So what can't I like about it? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? We then have a classic booktube favourite, and that is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. Everyone loves this series, and I have read Chloe Brown. I didn't love it. I thought it was mediocre. I gave it 3 stars. However, I have been personally recommended that Danny Brown is better than Chloe Brown. So when I saw it going for 99p on eBooks, I thought, why not? It was only 99p. I can give it another go. I can give the Brown Sisters another go. Why not? So I brought it as an ebook on my phone. Not sure whether I'll enjoy it or not. I'm willing to give Talia Hibbert and the Brown Sisters another go. So fingers crossed for me when I finally get around to this one. I don't know. I don't know when I'll read it, but hopefully soon. We then have the Anti-Virginity Pack by Katie Weismer, and this book's actually on my TBR for June. So hoping, I am sure I will get to it this month. Fingers crossed. I don't really know too much about this one, but Katie Weismer is a fellow booktuber, kind of more turned authortube now. I love her content and I want to support her, and this is her debut novel. She has 2 poetry collections out, and the second book of this series is out as well. I wanted to support her, and this book came up on my June TBR this month, so hopefully I'll get to it soon. I think it's like a romance mystery kind of thriller-esque book. Excited to get to it. Everyone's raved about it, so yeah, fingers crossed for that one. And then we have The 2-Week Wait by Lucy J. Lewis, and this was actually an e-arc I got off NetGalley, but I waited too long to download it and it kind of expired and I couldn't download it anymore. The publishers very, very kindly sent me an email saying, hey, I've noticed that this arc of yours has gone into archives. Do you want me to retrieve it for you and send it your way? And I was like, no, it's okay. I've brought it on eBooks because I'm still really intrigued to read it, and it was only $2.99 on eBooks, so I brought it. So yeah, I've already supported the author. I just still haven't got around to reviewing the arc on NetGalley, but hopefully soon. As far as I'm aware, this is about a woman who can't conceive, about fertility treatments and that sort of stuff, so I would be wary of that if that's a sensitive topic for you before even going in. But to me it sounds really, really intriguing, and it gave me very much Olive by Emma Gannon vibes, because that book basically follows Olive, who doesn't want kids but all her friends are moving to suburbs getting kids, and you follow a lot of different perspectives in that book about different ways you can have children and the struggles of childbirth and fertility treatment and stuff. So this book kind of reminded me of that, so that's why I kind of eyed it up in the first place. We then have All the Lonely People by Mike Gale, and if you know me, then you know that I have a recent love of Mike Gale, and I cannot wait to read his entire backlist. So when All the Lonely People was on sale, I had to pick it up. As far as I'm aware, it basically follows an older father who has just been left behind by his daughter as she's moved over to Australia, and he's obviously still in the UK, and they have weekly phone calls, and he makes it seem like he's got his life together, that he's okay, that he's not missing her, but really in fact he is, and he's just trying to hide it so he doesn't ruin her time in Australia. And she's also doing the same without him realizing, and it's just going to be a really heart-wrenching book, and India really loves it. She hasn't finished it yet, but she enjoyed what she read, so I'm very excited to get to this one. I've loved everything of Mike Gale that I've read so far, so it has to be another 5-star prediction for me. We then have Black Buck by Matteo Ascapour, and I actually was in Waterstones today as I'm filming this, and I saw this in hardback, and I was so close to picking it up. This book has been on my radar for so long now. I actually found out about it before it was even released, and then it took me ages to try and find a copy of it when it had been released, because it's an American author, I believe, and I'm in the UK, so sometimes a little bit harder to get hold of American releases in the UK at the same time. But I did manage to find it on iBooks, so I picked it up because I had to read it, and I was so adamant that I was going to read it back in like February. I still haven't got around to it yet, but kind of as far as I'm aware, this book basically follows our main character. It's kind of half self-help, half fiction, about a guy who works in a massive city centre tower block, and he works on the bottom floor as a Starbucks barista, like a coffee barista, and he starts to make his way up the tower block and becomes like CEO of the company. So yeah, I'm really excited to read that. I'm really intrigued to see how the mixture of media works. But yeah, so excited to read this. I really need to get around to it ASAP. I can't believe I keep putting it off. I need to read it. We then have The Best Is Yet to Come by Katie Collins. I don't really know what this one's about. It was on an iBook sale. It sounded interesting. The cover drew me in. I brought it for 99p. Can you see a theme here? Mike Gale actually like blurbed it. He wrote emotional and heartwarming. So that's always good. That's so good. When one of your favourite authors blurbs another book, you know you're in for a good time. And I think this one is also about the struggles of motherhood and childcare, childbirth and fertility and all that sort of stuff. I don't know kind of why that subject kind of draws me in. I really don't know. I remember reading Giovanna's book, Happy Mum, Happy Baby, back when it was released, and I was like 16, maybe a bit older than 16, and everyone was like, why are you reading like a mother book? You're like nowhere near wanting kids or whatever. And I was like, I just find it interesting. I find that it kind of eases my mind. I know one day I would love to have kids and I would love to be a mum and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know, I'm just being prepared. I have no idea. But yeah, this book also kind of follows those same themes. It says that our main character Izzy always takes everything in her stride, and then when she becomes a mother she starts to kind of crumble a little bit. So I think it's maybe like postpartum depression. I don't really know, don't count me on that, but it sounds really interesting, and I'm excited to get to it in a hard kind of way. I think it'll be a tough book to read, but hopefully a really well written one. Not that I'll be own voices or have any experience to relate it to, but it does sound good and I am intrigued to read it. We then have A Sweet Mess by JC Lee. This is a book I very recently picked up. I think it's about baking and romance, and I think it's another enemies to lovers kind of book. Very intrigued to read it. The cover is so cute. Woo! Okay, this one sounds so good. I just read the synopsis, so I'll try and abbreviate it for you. But it basically follows our main character, Aubrey, who is a high standard, high level chef, and she owns her own bakery called Comfort Zone. She's so focused on her bakery that she doesn't really think about love and relationships, but until she has this one night stand with a guy called Landon, and everything from there starts to go tits up when she realizes, but doesn't know at the time, that he is a famous food critic, and his disastrous review of Comfort Zone, her bakery, goes viral and almost ruins her business. And I think it must be an enemies to lovers sort of book. That sounds so good. I want to read it so soon. Oh, that sounds so good. Very excited to get to that one. Then we have The Boyfriend Project by Farah Rochon. I actually have tried already to read this book and it just didn't vibe with me at the time. I don't know whether it's because of my mood of reading back then. I tried to read it in February, I believe. And it basically follows a really well-established businesswoman. She is like almost CEO of her own company, and she starts dating someone, I believe, as far as I remember. But she doesn't realise the guy that she's dating is a hacker, and he's been hired by a lawyer or something to hack into her own company and kind of find out what's going wrong because there's something fishy in that company. I don't really know, that's all I kind of remember. I just don't know whether it was for me or whether it was the book or whether it was just me reading the book at that time. I don't know, but I did DNF it at 100 pages. I am still kind of intrigued to carry on with it and maybe start from the beginning and give it fresh eyes, but I'm not too sure, but it is still on my TBR. And have a random thriller that still sounds interesting to me. I don't really know why, but it's If You Go Down to the Woods Today, you're in for a big surprise. Okay, I'm just going to read you a very brief portion of the synopsis because it sounds so freaky, and I know a few of my friends are really into thrillers and I think you guys may enjoy this one. Basically, it reads, I'm just going to read it off my phone, so bear with. The day we found a burned car in the woods was the day everything changed. Cold, hard cash in the front seat and a body in the trunk. It started out as a mystery we were desperate to solve. And then the collector arrived. He knew we found his secret, and suddenly our summer of innocence turned into a stuff of nightmares. Nothing would ever be the same again. I think that sounds so good. And then we have No One Ever Has Sex on Christmas Day by Tracy Bloom. I, a couple of years ago, just typed into iBooks Christmas books, and this one came up, and the title intrigued me, and I have never looked eyes on it ever again. But I still think it'll be good to read because I love the cover. I have another book on my shelves that has sex in the title, so I don't know what it is with me and sex in book titles, but it makes me laugh, and I think the books are going to be humorous when they do have sex in the title. So I don't know what that says about me, but it's fine. It sounds like a good book. And then we have kind of like an old book, but a book that's recently come back to the surface, and that's Love and Gelato by Jean Evans Walsh. And I have tried to read this. I got very far through, but I didn't finish it. I clearly DNF'd it back when I didn't really know what DNFing was. It was definitely back in the good old day of BookTube. As far as I remember it, is that a woman has just lost her mother, and her mother's dying wish is to go to Tuscany and visit her father that she never knew. I think it's kind of like the main synopsis plot thing. I don't know whether I'll actually ever get round to it, but it's still on my radar for now. Okay, I just realised how many more books I have to read, so I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit because you guys don't really need to know what the synopses are about. Really, do you? I don't think so. Then have Just Haven't Met You Yet by Kate Woods, another adult contemporary book. It says a laugh-out rom-com with a delicious twist. So I'm intrigued. I don't need to know any more than that when I read a book, to be fair. We then have This Love by Danny Atkins. I read a Danny Atkins book way back when I first got into reading and really enjoyed it. I saw that they had another book out, so I picked it up. I have never read it, but I am still intrigued to read it. Basically about Sophie, who's really stuck in her ways as a translator, and then one day the flat below her starts to burn ablaze, and she gets stuck in her flat upstairs until a stranger called Ben rescues her, and she starts to break out of her shell a little bit. It sounds really interesting. I'm actually really intrigued to read it now. That's what I find. You like discover books, and then you discover more books, and the books that you discovered before you discovered a new books kind of get forgotten about until you reread the blurbs, until you rediscover what they're about. You lose interest, and now I'm interested in all these books again, and I just want to read. Maybe I'll do like a separate reading vlog to read some of my ebooks on my phone. I think that might be a really cool video idea. So if you are interested in that video, let me know by liking this video and commenting down below whether you would like to see it or not. We then have You Had Me at Hello by, I'm not even going to try and pronounce this author's name because I believe she is Irish, and she recently had a recent release called The Last Night, which I know Em from A Little Writer Em, I talk about her so much on my channel, but I love her recommendations. She loved this book, and that book is actually on my radar as well. I didn't actually realise I had another book of hers on my ebook account until I discovered Last Night, which is her latest release. So now I'm really intrigued to get to this one. Once again, another adult rom-com contemporary book. What's new? Nothing. We then have The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Don't ask me why I have this book on my TBR. I'm not here to be questioned. I'm not here to be judged. I have it on my iBooks account. Will I read it? No. But did I get drawn into the BookTube hype back in the day? Yeah, I did. So I picked it up. I will never read it, but it's on my list. It won't ever get read, just putting it out there. We then have another one I will never read, and that is The Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Another one where I got sucked into the BookTube hype back in like 2015 because I was new to BookTube. I was like, oh my god, so many books to read, and I didn't really know my taste, and I picked this one up. I will never read it. Then we have Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Jill Mansell. Not really sure what this one's about, but remember, a lot of her books were on offer back in the day, so I picked them up because they are adult rom-com contemporary books. I literally sound like a broken record, but it's a cute cover. It drew me in. It's going to be like a coming-of-age adult book. My perfect cup of tea, so I picked it up. You can't blame me. Don't blame me. We then have a classic BookTube fave, and that's The Unbecoming of Dyer. Will I ever read this book? No. Do I still have it and can't let it go? Yeah. And then we have Maybe Someday by Colin Hoover, which I am actually intrigued to read because I feel like Colin Hoover's kind of slowly made a comeback, so I am intrigued to read this book. I don't know whether I'd enjoy it at this sort of age at 24, but you have to read it to find out, don't you? So it's on my TBR. We then have another Colin Hoover, and that is Slammed, another BookTube vintage, I feel like. It was definitely hyped back in the day when I started finding out about BookTube. We then have Written in the Stars by Ali Harris, and the tagline simply says, you don't need to know any more than this. One decision, two different paths, how many happy endings? And I think it would be really cool if this book was like choose your own adventure story. I doubt it's that, but it would be cool if that was how it was. Oh my god, I have another one of that Irish lady's books. I have It's Not You, It's Me. So that's another book that I really want to read because I'm so intrigued to read Last Night that I need to read her other books as well. So maybe I'll do like a reading vlog for all her books. So many video ideas are coming to me today. I'm in a creative mood. We then have Amber in the Ashes by Amber Tahir. Will I read it? No. Do I have it? Yeah. Moving on. We then have, finally, it's the last book on my ebook TBR. We have The Sky Is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. I used to love Give Me the Stars. I think it's Give Me the Stars. It's about a set of twins who kind of really go off and lose each other, and then they come back through painting or something like that. I can't remember. When I really did enjoy that book, I was like, oh, I'll get The Sky Is Everywhere because I really enjoyed that book. But I feel like too long of a time has passed now for me to be interested in reading this anymore. But it's on my TBR nevertheless. So there we have it. Those are the 35 books that are on my ebook TBR. Probably about the same sort of number of physical books I own. So I have about 70 books on my physical and ebook TBR combined, which is a little stressful, not gonna lie. If you haven't seen my physical TBR video, I'll link up above and down below for you, because I basically just discussed all the physical books I have on these shelves. It has expanded since then, so I'll probably need to do an updated video, but that won't come anytime soon. Don't hold me to that. I can't shame myself any more than I have today. So there we have it. Let me know which ebooks you have on your TBR. Have I made you interested in any books that I've spoken about today? Because I've spoken about some quite obscure books, so let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up. Subscribe down below to see future content from me. I do anything from reading vlogs, fun TBR games, book recommendations, and anything else your bookish heart could desire. I have it all on this channel, so make sure you are subscribed so you never miss any more future content. And without further ado, I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.